Hi everyone, it's Olga from Olga's Flavor Factory and welcome to my kitchen. Today I'm gonna take you inside and show you more of a look around and share some of the things that I love about this kitchen. My favorite things about it, what makes it super convenient and just a pleasure to work in. For the first 8 years of our marriage, my husband and I lived in apartments before we bought this house. So our kitchens were really tiny and obviously we had no control over what it looked like or we couldn't update them. When we bought this house, I was so excited that I would finally have a kitchen space of my own. I would have all the input into how I wanted things set up, and we completely remodeled the entire thing from start to finish. I put a lot of thought into what I wanted in the kitchen and how I wanted things to be set up so there would be a really nice flow. By this time I had been running my own home for 8 years, so I had a pretty good idea of how I cook and what I like and what I prefer. So come on in, let me show you all the things that I love about this kitchen. First of all, I love how bright it is in here. We have 2 windows right in the kitchen, and then we have a sunroom right across from it. So we have tons of windows there too, and all that sunlight makes it so cheerful and happy. I love it. We also installed white cabinets and white countertops, so that adds even more brightness to an already bright space. It's such a pleasure for me to work in this space where I'm surrounded by so much light, and then the sunroom is right here where my kids play all the time. We made it into a playroom, so it's the perfect setup. The countertops that we have are actually granite. They look like marble, and that's why I chose this particular kind. It's called Everest White, but they're so much more durable than marble. I was told by professionals that marble you have to be much more careful with. It stains much more easily. I've been using this kitchen for 6 years now and I do a ton of cooking in here. So the countertops still look great. They're not stained or chipped. I'm really happy with the choice that we made. I spend the majority of my time in the kitchen right in this area right here. This is where my island is, so I prep most of the food here. And then I have more countertop here. This is where my stand mixer is, so I can bake things here. I really thought about how I could maximize the space, especially where I spend the most amount of time, so that I don't have to be running around the kitchen to get things, and I could reach most of what I need right in here. So my workspaces are here, and then the dishwasher is right here, and then look how cool this is. So the sink is here, I rinse the dishes here, then I put them in the dishwasher, and then when I'm unloading the dishes, how lovely is this? All of our dishes are right here, so I can get the plates and put them right here. And since I'm short, it's so much nicer to have the pull-out drawers and be able to reach things than have to put it in the top cabinet. We have the silverware in here, so I can grab the silver and put it away right here. So it's really great. I love this setup. Then we have 2 trash cans right here that pull out, which is awesome. And once again, when I'm cleaning up after dinner or I'm prepping things and peeling things, I can put them right here, and there's 2 sections, so we can put recycling in one and the trash in the other. And when we have big parties, lots of people, it's awesome to have 2 big trash cans. This is awesome. The refrigerator is just a few steps away, so once again, it's really great when I'm putting food away or when I'm taking food out to prep it. So this is a really nice setup too. I really enjoy having pretty servingware, so I display some of it here in these cupboards with the glass doors. I think it makes the kitchen look pretty, and since I have so much white in the kitchen, it adds a little bit of color. And then I also have a lot of other serving dishes and things that I use for blogging pictures in the china cabinet that's in our dining room. And first of all, that looks beautiful too. I love how it looks in our dining room, and that's a practical way for me to store all of these things. Pretty much all the serving dishes that I own are in these 2 cabinets and in the china cabinet over there. I decided to have as much drawers in the bottom cabinets as I could, and it's wonderful. I absolutely love this method of storing things. Like right here, I have a lot of kitchen tools, my baking cups and garlic press the peeler, measuring spoons, all kinds of things in here. Like I said, I work here a lot, so this is a really good spot for it. And then we have our serving utensils right here and the silverware. And in these drawers right here, I have plastic wrap and parchment bags, Ziploc bags, things like that. And in the bottom one, I have all of our kitchen towels. I use them a ton, so it's really nice to have them right next to the sink and the dishwasher. One of my favorite features in the kitchen is this sink. It's really deep and wide. It's a single one, so I can easily wash large baking sheets and large pots. It's so much easier, and you can hide things in there too. It really comes in handy when I'm filming and don't have time to wash the dishes. I can just stack things in there, and because it's so deep, you can't see anything. I really enjoy having so much space for the sink. It comes in handy for so many different things, and I would not go back to a double sink. That's just my personal preference. I love this. And when I'm washing things and I need them to dry, it's really easy. Right below the sink, I have a dish drying rack right here, so I can pull it out, put it right here on the counter, wash my pots and pans, and then put it right back underneath there. Below the sink, we have our water filter system, sponges, and then I have all of my cleaning supplies, dishwashing tablets, scouring pads, and all kinds of things like that. For safety, I have a fire extinguisher in my kitchen. My husband makes sure that we stay safe in this house. He's actually in the fire safety business, so I have one in my kitchen, and we also have one in the garage. The cabinet next to it holds all of our garbage bags and extra bags from the grocery store that we use for different things. And then way in the back, I have extra vases. This little corner is we make coffee, tea, toast. We use these every single day. It's really convenient to have all this space right here. And then right here, I have really tall cabinets. That's another thing that we changed when we remodeled this kitchen is we brought the cabinets all the way up to the ceiling to maximize the storage. On the very top shelves all around the kitchen is where I store things that I don't have to access very often, like a roasting pan or extra supplies like extra pantry items, or right up there I have extra parchment bags, extra freezer bags, and right here where I can reach it, I have my measuring cups and I have the mixing bowls that I use the most right here. And then on this side is where our thermoses are. Coffee cups that my husband uses and takes to work every day. I have the kids' little cups that we take to the park or whatever. On the shelf right here, I have all of my glass jars. I use these a ton, so I have different sizes. And I have some in my fridge right now. I have some in my pantry. So I have more room for the ones that are in use right now. But this is where I keep them right here. Right here is where we have all of our cups, glasses, coasters. So we have our mugs here, the glasses here. And when we have lots of people over, we use them all. My husband and I both come from really large families. So when we're getting together and drinking coffee or tea, this thing is empty. I really wanted to have a gas stove. It's a completely personal preference. I just really enjoy cooking with a gas stove. One little thing that I enjoy about a gas stove is, for example, if you're cooking soup or simmering milk and it's just about to run over and you turn it off, the heat turns off immediately. And what's about to boil over goes down right away. I remember how frustrating it was when I had an electric flat top stove and something would run over. If you turn it off, you have to like pull it off because it would still be really hot in that spot. And then cleaning it was a nightmare. I mean, cleaning a stove is never fun no matter what, but for me, I just prefer a gas stove. This top drawer right here holds my parchment paper. You guys, check out restaurant supply stores for these long parchment paper sheets. They're so economical to buy. I bought a big box and it's lasted me more than 7 years. And I still have a whole bunch more in here and I use this a ton. And it's so much easier to use them when they're flat than when they're rolled up and you're trying to unroll it and it keeps rolling up on itself. That is really annoying. So this is really great. And like I said, it's lasted me so many years. I'm still going to be using it for a while. And right in the back, I have a little space for my rolling pin. It fits perfectly in there. In this middle drawer, I have my skillets, some of the lids, some of the pots that I use the most often. So it's very easy to access. Just grab it right here. The skillets, and it's right here. I love that. And it stacks perfectly, doesn't take up a lot of space, and it's very easy to access. And then below here, I have my bigger pots that I also use the most. And then I have bigger skillets that I don't use as often, like my big 12-inch skillets, the cast iron one. And then I have a hand mixer here. I don't use that one very often because I use my stand mixer much more often. I have my pizzelle baker there to make trubочки. And then I also have an орешница in here, which is to bake Russian cookies, орешки. You can check those out on my blog, but that's where I keep it. Right next to the stove at arm's reach, I have this canister that holds all of the utensils that I use the most when I'm cooking, like spatulas, wooden spoons, whisks, all those things that you need to reach for when you're standing at the stove and cooking. So this is really great. And then right next to it, this cabinet opens up and I have all of my baking sheets in here, cutting boards, cooling racks. This is also really convenient because the ovens are right here and then the island is right here where I would use these things the most often. I really like this upright storage for everything where they're not stacked on top of each other. In the apartment, I didn't really have a lot of space to do this, so I would have to pull everything out, and it was just so much less convenient than everything just pulls out much more easily this way. Another feature that I really wanted in the kitchen is to have 2 full double ovens. This is so convenient to have. You can cook multiple things at the same time, like you could be roasting a chicken in one oven and baking bread or cookies in the other. It's especially useful when you're cooking for a lot of people or when you're meal prepping, so I really enjoy having this double oven. Right below the ovens, I have another deep drawer that pulls out and holds the rest of my baking things, like my cake pans, deeper baking pans that don't store upright like my baking sheets, so I store most of my other stuff in there. Instead of storing my knives on top of the counter in a knife block, I chose to put them in a drawer, and I really like storing them this way. I got this universal knife organizer at the Container Store, and it holds my knives, and you can store lots of different types of knives, any type of brand, so it works really well. I also have my kitchen scissors in here. I use these a lot. In this cabinet, I have a lot of my storage containers. I use them a lot for meal prepping, for leftovers, so I have a huge collection of storage containers. I store them with the lids on. That way I'm never searching for lids, I'm not losing them, and I find that it's actually much easier for me to store it this way. I've tried storing the lids separately, but I like this method of organizing much better. It works for me. This cabinet right here was meant to be a lazy Susan, but I decided to just have shelves in there because I think you can store a lot more things. In here I have the majority of my kitchen appliances that I want out of the way, but they're really easy to reach when I need to use them. So I have my food processor, the Instant Pot, the blender, the waffle maker, and it all fits in there beautifully with space left over. I also have my salad spinner in there, a colander, more mixing bowls, and then a few other extra things, and I still have enough space to store more storage containers in there too. I store the things that I use the most often at the front, and then the things that I access much less often way in the back, so that way it's much more convenient for me to reach for things that I use all the time. I have all my spices in this cabinet, and once again, I'm working here the most often when I'm prepping and cooking things, so they're all here. I have all the little jars here of all of my favorite spices and seasonings. On this shelf, I have my salt and pepper, the pepper grinder, and then big containers of seasonings and spices like bay leaves, peppercorns, garlic powder, and different things like that that I have big jars of. And on the top shelves, I have extra spices. I have a big container of kosher salt and other things that take up a lot of space and things I don't use very often. All of our food is stored here, so we have our pantry and the refrigerator is right next to it. So I wanted to have pull-out drawers for these shelves as well. So it's really easy for me to reach everything in the back too. All of these pull out. So we have all of our canned goods on this shelf. This one, because it's right at arm's reach, is where we keep all of our snacks and things we eat the most. The things that my kids can reach for, like graham crackers or pretzels, applesauce. And then this space, I usually have bread, bagels, or whatever we happen to be eating that week. On the bottom drawer, I have our potatoes, onions, garlic, shallots, so they're stored over there. In this cabinet, I have my baking supplies, flour, sugars. I have different flours and sugars in the back, oil. I have cereal, oatmeal, different porridges, and then more baking supplies like chocolate chips, poppy seeds, things like that up there too. This last cabinet holds our pasta, rice, and other things like that. The side cabinet also has pull-out drawers and holds more pantry supplies like grains, barley, cornmeal, beans, couscous. Then I have extra supplies of things here, dried mushrooms, oils, vinegars, and like I said, a lot of extras are here. I'm not gonna go into everything I have in my pantry. I have all of that in my ebook. If you're interested and wanna know what kind of things I have in my pantry, in my fridge, in my freezer, all of that is in there. Thanks so much for watching. I really enjoyed sharing my kitchen with all of you guys. I'm so grateful for this kitchen. It really is the heart of our home. I feel like I had you guys over at my house, so thanks for stopping by and visiting my kitchen.